So this is my first video in YouTube about studies. My first chapter to discuss is Class 9's Biologist Chapter 1, the Fundamental Unit of Life. So the fundamental unit of life is this cell. The cell is the fundamental unit of life, the main. So before starting our chapter, we should know about some scientists. First is Aristotle, who is also known as the father of biology. He said all plants and animals are made of repeating elements, but didn't give any idea about the elements. Then came Robert Hooke, who in 1665 saw dead cork cells under his own made or self-designed microscope and wrote a book, Micrographia, and also named Cell as Cell. Anton von Leeuwenhoek was a Dutch trapper who saw living cells like bacteria and human sperms in 1674. Then came Anne Grew, who said about cell concept. In this he said cell is a unit structure of organism. In 1682, unit structure of organisms is structural unit which make the structure like first its cell, then cell makes tissue, then it organ system, then a whole organism. Then come Dutronchet, who said about that cells are held together, means tissues are made by certain cohesive forces in 1824. He said this. Then came Robert Brown, who discovered nucleus in 1831. F. Dujardin, who saw semi-fluid and homogeneous material in 1835, named it as sarcode. Then Purkinje, who named sarcode as protoplasm in 1839, as Clayton and Szechuan, who proposed the cell theory in 1838 and said that cell is a basic structural and functional unit of life, and also many things. Then Rudolf Virchow, who said omnis cellulae cellula, means new cells arise from pre-existing cells. He said this in 1858. Then came Knoll and Ruska, who made electron microscope in 1932. Then Singer and Nicholson made or proposed fluid mosaic model in 1972. Plastids were discovered by Ernest Haeckel in 1866, lysosomes and peroxisomes by Christian René Diouf in 1955 and 1965 respectively. Mitochondria by Kolliker in 1857 and named by C. Banda in 1897. And endoplasmic reticulum by Porter and his co-workers in 1945, ribosome by G. Pellet in 1955, Golgi apparatus by Camillo Golgi in 1898, and vacuole. If I say about vacuole, then Dujardin named vacuoles as vacuoles, and contractile vacuoles are first observed as Plangiani in 1776. So let's start our chapter. And when we start about cell, the first question which arises in our mind is, what do you mean by cell? What is the real meaning of cell? Where does the cell came? Cell is generally a Latin word as celluli, and celluli means a little room where the sages used to live. So cells are what? Cells are the basic functional, structural and functional units of life. Its functions and structure I've already said. If we divide organism on the basis of cell, there are two types of organisms, acellular and cellular. On the cellular, there are two types, unicellular and multicellular. If acellular organism example is virus, and cellular, unicellular, if the organism has only one cell, like amoeba, and if it has two cells, more than one, then it is multicellular, like humans, frogs, snakes, etc. And prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. If I say about prokaryotic is a bacteria and eukaryotic is a neuron. In prokaryotic, the cell sizes 10 1 to 10 mm. Nucleus is not present. Chromosome is only one. Membrane is not present. Membrane bound cell organelles is not present. Are not present. Cell division is by fission or budding. Example is bacteria. Typical bacteria. Eukaryotic cell size is 5 to 100 mm. Nucleus is present. Chromosomes are more than one. Membrane bound cell organelles are present, and cell division is meiosis or mitosis. Example neuron. Then came the cell diversity. Which is the largest cell? If I say about the largest cell, this is ostrich's egg. Largest cell. Smallest cell is Mycoplasma gallisepticum. Largest human cell is ovum. Human smallest cell is sperm to germ cells. Human longest cell is nerve or neuron. Cell is acetobulleria. Smallest is duckweeds, and the longest is rami or root fiber. Generally, shape depends upon function. If I say about nerve, it is elongated shape. As it to transfer message and receive messages, it have to be elongated. And muscle, it is spindle shape. RBCs are spherical shaped, etc. etc. Now say about solution. If a cell is placed in a solution, what will happen? And three types of solution are there: hypotonic, isotonic, hypertonic. Means I am placing a cell in a solution. Out of these three solutions, we will observe the last thing. Okay. So hypotonic, the surrounding medium has higher osmotic concentration than placed in it. Means if the cell has the osmotic concentration 1, then the solutions in which I have placed it, it should have more than 1, means 1.1, 1.2, etc. Then if the cell is present, then from higher concentration to lower concentration it will go and will swell up the cell. Isotonic, if the surrounding has the same osmotic concentration, let the osmotic concentration of a cell is 1, then the surrounding medium be 1, then no change will happen. Hypertonic, as if I place a cell with 1 and the medium has lower, means lower, such as 0.99, 0.5, then from higher concentration it will go to the lower concentration, then the cell will shrink. But how? Then it came about transportation, diffusion, the movement of all type of molecules, means all states, solid, liquid, and yes. So all type of molecules from a region of higher concentration, the who is the higher, since it is 2, let, and to the lower concentration is called diffusion. To lower means 1, 2, 2 to 1, means if it's higher concentration it will flow towards 1, not 1 to 2, it's 2 to 1. Then osmosis, means which I have taken osmotic concentration. Osmosis, the diffusion of the solvent molecules, means only liquid, through a semi-permeable membrane. I will say about semi-permeable membrane later. It's called osmosis. Okay, so it's also go to higher concentration, lower concentration, as shown in the three solutions. Two types of osmosis, endo and exo. If I say about endo, then the solid molecules are absorbed by the cell, and if I say exo, the solid molecules come out of the cell. So isotonic has no change, so it is not endo, neither endo nor exo. In this, the cell receives the water, it is endo, absorb, endoosmosis. And in hypertonic, the cell, the water came to the surrounding medium from the cell, means it expels, then it is exoosmosis. Okay, then endocytosis and echocytosis. If a cell they absorb any microbiomolecules, then it is endo, means absorbing. It expels any material from it, then it is exo. Then phagocytosis. It is generally means cell eating. Amoeba takes food by this process. How? Let's say this is an amoeba and this is the food. When it sends the food, it doesn't have any eye, na? So when it's in the food, it make another some false feet called pseudopodia. Pseudopodia, where pseudo means false and podia mean feet. It attracts the food and take by what? Endocytosis, or here is special name is phagocytosis. Many of some kind of protozoa take in such process, takes food. After digestion, it's throughout the food. This is called exocytosis. Got it? And cell. So we have known many things of cell or how it takes food, but we didn't know how the cell thing. Cell is like this. Cell is like this. I haven't yet told about the cell, shape of a cell. Then I have told about many things. Cell has three main parts: plasma membrane or PM, not prime minister. It's plasma membrane. Cytoplasm, nucleus. First about plasma membrane, ABNC. Plasma membrane. It is the outermost layer of an animal cell. Second most layer of the plant cells. Why? Because plant cell have another covering outside the plasma membrane, which is cell wall. But in animal cells, no such covering is present. It is lipoprotein, means lipids and proteins. It is semi-permeable. I have got semi-permeable here also. What is the meaning of semi-permeable? And it is living and flexible. So membrane, three types: permeable or freely permeable, semi permeable or selectively permeable, and not permeable or impermeable. Freely permeable means it does not obstruct any object to go or come if the membrane of the cell is freely permeable. If the membrane of a cell is semi-permeable, then it will allow only or permits only some permeable is permission to give permission. It only gives some specific some things to go or come into a cell. It's come into a cell or go from a cell. Not permeable, it does not allow any substance to go or come. Like for freely permeable substance, let's see. Let there are three houses named A, B, C. The boundary. It has no boundary, so anyone can come and go also. It is freely permeable or permeable. Semi-permeable means it has boundary but some holes are also, or pores are also there. Some small children or thin person can come and go through it, but heavy and some person are not, means selectively permeable. And another has no pore boundary, means no one can come out and no one go. It is some and it is full. So that have you got clear information about permeable, semi-permeable and not permeable? I think so. Cytoplasm. It is homogeneous colloidal ground substance between a PM plasma membrane and nucleus. Cell is the nucleus. This is called cytoplasm. If I omit or take out the nucleus, then this will also have the cytoplasm. Then whole is called protoplasm. There is just two parts cytosol. It is cytoplasm two outer and denser non-granular ectoplasm, which is granular ectoplasm and non-granular ectoplasm. Okay, in cytoplasmic structure, cell organelles and cell inclusions, about which we will read in our next video, not in this video. Nucleus is a central position, but in plant cell, due to the presence of large vacuoles, it is pushed to a side. This is whatever. Central position is a oval and spherical shape, large sized part of a cell. It is also the brain or determines main part. What is the brain? Main part of our body. Director in film, it is one of the main persons. So nucleus is also a main part of, because without a nucleus, a cell is not important. It's not applicable. Nuclear membrane. In prokaryotic cells, nucleus is not, but some nucleus type things are which are called nucleoid. Okay, nuclear membrane. It has four parts. Four. Nuclear membrane. It is thin. It is elastic, semi-permeable. We have read about. Two-layered envelope around the nucleus. Okay. Nucleoplasm. It is transparent, semi-fluid, colloidal substance in the nucleus. A cytoplasm in the nucleus is nucleoplasm. Nucleolus, the dark. In the nucleus, there is a dark portion, such dark portion, which is the site of formation of RNA, and ribosomes contain RNA means ribonucleic acid, and ribosome contains RNA, so which is the formation site of ribosomes also. And nucleochromatin, dark stain network. During cell division, it condenses and dehydrates by dehydration and spiraling and forms some chromosomes, which are hereditary materials which carried over genes from parents to their offsprings. This is a picture of a nucleus, typical nucleus. These balls are ribosomes. These are ER endoplasmic reticulum. We'll read about it, ER and ribosomes in our next video. These are euchromatins. Some things like small dots, heterochromatins. This part, perinuclear chromatin, intracellular chromatin. It is nuclear envelope, inner membrane and outer membrane, nuclear pore, perinuclear space means space between two nuclear space between two membrane, inner and outer. The nucleolus. This is the nucleolus. This is which contains the perinuclear, intranuclear chromatin. This is some perinuclear chromatin, and this is all obviously nucleoplasm. Okay. So another thing is present in plant cell. It is cell wall. Only in plant cells. These are dead, rigid, freely permeable dead, rigid, freely permeable, outermost layer in plant, bacteria, algae, etc. Fungi. So in plant, these are made of cellulose. In bacteria and blue-green algae, it is made of peptidoglycan, and fungi is made of chitin. So cell wall, it is not present in animal cells. So if we draw animal cell, this is like this, and if I draw a plant cell, it is like this. Means it is typical, but it should have a cell wall, side nucleus, and back. And another thing. So in the next video, we'll discuss about the differences between animal cell and plant cell. Animal cell, sorry, animal cell and plant cell. I've denoted by A or C, A and B. Okay, so we will stop this video. If you like this video, please share it, subscribe it, press the bell icon, and like it, share it, comment. Yes, thank you. We'll meet in our next video.